Hi everybody, it's your Queer Great-Auntie here, and I wasn't expecting to make a video today, but I have just watched a video from Mom on the Spectrum talking about how the US government is collecting data to register autistic people and hand it over to the US Department of Health under Robert F. Kennedy Jr. For the purposes of research into autism. This is the same Robert F. Kennedy Jr. who recently said that autism, I can't remember the exact words, but that it needed to be destroyed or eradicated or brought an end to in one way or another. So my hugs, my queer auntie hugs, are going to go out to all of my autistic siblings, cousins, niblings, comrades in the United States. But before I get to giving the hugs, I just want to see if I can give a little indication of some of the research I've been doing for a while over understanding the connections between ableism, disableism, transphobia, and the far right and the rise of fascistic regimes that we are witnessing at the moment. There's so much to say on this, which is why I don't know quite how I'm going to get it into a short video. What it comes down to is democide, which is the intent to eradicate or make impossible the lives of a particular group within society. So the ones that are being targeted right now are trans people and autistic people. And I want to see if I can quickly communicate why these groups are being targeted and why it's the same struggle. What it comes down to is ideas around eugenics, around racial purity, or societal purity, and the need to perpetuate a particular way of being within society, and looking at that on the basis of whether someone is fit for reproduction or production of capital. Let's look at the reproductive side of things. One of the reasons that supremacists and racial Puritans, I suppose, hate LGBTQI plus people and want us out of society is because we are perceived as people who cannot reproduce. So within a white supremacist society, the existence of gay, lesbian, bisexual to an extent, transgender, intersex, agender, non-binary people is a section of society who cannot then, in the eyes of the supremacists, reproduce and replenish the pure race. The same is true for disabled people within this ableist mindset. Now, it's partly as well that disabled people are seen as not contributing to like material wealth and capital, but it's also this idea that either we cannot or should not reproduce, that our status as disabled people means that we are defective, that we are lacking, that we are not normal, that we do not comply with the imagined ideal of what a human being in this context is. And so it is not desirable to produce more disabled people by allowing or even considering that disabled people can reproduce. So that's the kind of baseline eugenic thinking that links transphobia and disableism. The reason that it seems that autistic people are at the forefront of this disableist hate and eugenics is because over recent years, a lot of autistic adults have been advocating very strongly for understanding disability according to the social model. In other words, that being disabled does not mean that we're broken or lacking. What it means is that mainstream society does not account for our needs. This is something that's really re-energized the wider disability rights movement and disability justice movement. And for that, I am so thankful. And it's been very exciting to see that change start to come about. But it does mean that they are a vocal minority and therefore an easy target. If you stop autistic people from self-advocating, if you stop autistic people from contributing to the narratives that wider society has about the value of disabled life, then you are going to affect all disabled people, put us back in institutions, take away our autonomy, and take away our voice. Again, bodily autonomy is another very common thread between disability justice and particularly trans and intersex justice. So, as I was saying in my previous video, our struggles are intimately connected. There's so much more I could say about this, but I'm honestly quite shocked and horrified at what the US government is doing to its own citizens. So I think it's time for the hugs. I've got LBJ today to help me. She's really good for textures and soothing and regulating. And she's got this lovely soft piece between her eyes that pops in and out. That's really, really nice. So we're going to give all of my autistic family, my cousins, my siblings, my niblings, my fam, my comrades, just all the hugs. Because this is just a really dark day, and there's been more of these dark days recently. Autistic people deserve respect, dignity, autonomy, love, acceptance, and autistic people are the forefront of what is going to make society better for everybody. I deeply believe that. And by understanding our common struggles, I think there's enough of us to band together and really resist this attack on human diversity and flourishing. So that's, I think, all I can manage for now. I'll keep on the research, and eventually we'll be able to write things that will probably end up on Cripcast, which is a bit of a dormant channel. But yeah, in the meantime, remember that existence is resistance, that we all deserve love and dignity and bodily autonomy, and that you are not alone. Okay, love you.